But I think almost no matter what, like I think XRP is going to get to that $10 level. Like it's going to have a massive run against Bitcoin and against Ethereum. It's going to make up a lot of ground on Ethereum. It's not going to give it up.
So greetings everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a very interesting conversation with Bitboy, discussing multiple topics from XRP to the US dollar dominance. So how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I mean, I think that it just feels like the bull run has been getting going. And even though I know we haven't like pierced 70,000 or 70, we got to numbers for Bitcoin that gets people excited, it's still, for those of us that have been here, it's turned and we can feel it. And the people are starting to get excited. The numbers are starting to go up. The attention is starting to come back to crypto. And we're kind of in the center stage. I mean, with presidential election and things like that. So it's a really good time to be in crypto when things are heating up.
Yeah, I'm getting notifications here on my phone. Bitcoin is actually hitting $70,000.
Right.
And you know that when your friends are texting you on Instagram, you really know something is hitting up when they actually asking for which crypto is the hot one for the next bull run and that kind of stuff. You really know that crypto is back on track. But I really want to hear your thoughts on XRP, man. So I have seen some of your viral videos on XRP, and I decided to text you. So I send you a DM and I say, Bitboy, I really want to know what you expect for XRP in the next, let's put a time frame, in the next 2 years. I think there's a lot of people getting frustrated with price action for XRP. I mean, it has been behaved like a stablecoin recently, right? So I would love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it's the eternal tale of XRP. We just keep waiting. However, you know, if you look at something like Cardano, like if you really look at Cardano versus XRP, it is really just a beautiful tale because, you know, you have Cardano, ADA, the token, of course, that they started out with such high expectations. And, you know, Charles said from 2017 that they were going to build this great thing. And, you know, they built it and apparently it's not that great. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants to use it. And so you look at the Cardano price action, the ADA price action, you say, oh, it stalled out, man. You know, it probably had its best run behind it. And you look at XRP and it's so easy to tell the same story because we're still waiting. We're still here waiting for the coin to take off. Who would have thought, maybe I did, that after we got the July hearing or the July ruling last year in 2023, that XRP on the secondary market is not a security, that a year later or a year and a half later almost, we are still at 55 cents or wherever we're at today, 56 cents, wherever it is. And, you know, we're down below the price spike, well below the price spike from 50 cents to $1 that XRP experienced, you know, right there at that moment. I knew it was going to come back down. I considered it was going to 2 to 3x. It exactly 2x, came back down to earth, and then it was a struggle. You see, the thing is it's the liquidity of the bull run that's going to cause XRP to move. It's always needed a fresh influx of capital. And when you look at the last bull run, it's obvious. We didn't get it because of the SEC case. It's obvious. It was the first major SEC case. And now you see when SEC goes after other people like Uniswap, coin doesn't even get hurt that much because we've already seen when the big boys, when they want to go after the big boys have big lawyers and they can defend themselves. And it's all a game of enforcement action money is really what it boils down to. And I think that when you look at the, you know, potential for XRP in the next 3 years, you have to really look back at the case because that's what determines the future. And let's be clear here. The case is over. It's over. It doesn't matter if there's an appeal. Stuart Alderody, the CLO, he already said, it doesn't matter if there's appeal. They've already ruled it's not a security. The only thing that is up for debate is money. They're just arguing over money. And why? Because Ripple came in at 10 million and the SEC settled, I think, 125 million, right? Is where they ended up maybe. At first, they were claiming $1 billion. And XRP don't want to pay $125 million. And also, the SEC wants more than $125 million. They asked for $1 billion. So, you know, I think that that's really what this is all about. And I think you look back at the SEC case, it was destined to be what it became. And I think over the last year, what's really become apparent to me is that this whole SEC thing was a joke. Like, I mean, joke is not really the right word. It had to happen, right? XRP becoming a regulated cryptocurrency that is not a security, okay, is huge, because everybody from 2017 on who was in crypto that was like, oh, it's the banker coin, they all said it was a security. Oh man, this thing will never take off because it's going to be a security. They're all going to get in trouble down the road. Well, guess what? It came and went, and no matter how much money Ripple has to pay the SEC, which it does matter because they're taking it straight out of the token to pay for it, right? So it does matter, but not in the way that XRP being a security would matter. That's over. So the institutions, the big money, all the market manipulators out there, the ones that stage things against us in retail, the informed investors versus the uninformed investors is what it is sometimes. Those people, they need the path to be clear. They needed XRP to be regulated so they could plug it in to all their institutional vehicles. Grayscale doing the XRP trust, that is 100% we're getting an XRP ETF. It won't happen. And when we get this Canary Capital, application, you get this Bitwise application, just know those things don't mean anything. They mean something in terms of that, just something we can talk about. We can say, oh, look, now, coming down the road, XRP ETF, right? Well, yes, we can say that, but it won't become a reality the same way that the Bitcoin ETF didn't become a reality and the Ethereum ETF didn't become a reality until BlackRock filed for it. When BlackRock filed for it, boom, we got it. So XRP ETF will not come across approved until BlackRock, or, by the way, also Vanguard. There's this fake narrative out there that Vanguard's anti-crypto because they won't file for a Bitcoin ETF, and all that's false too. Vanguard, by the way, owns more BlackRock than BlackRock owns. So Vanguard is the bigger private company that's actually more invested in BlackRock than BlackRock. They're a private company, so you don't know who owns them. I do, but you don't know who the CEO is. You don't know who the founder is. Don't know who the board member. You don't have to know anything. It's a private company like SpaceX. You don't have to know how much Elon Musk Bitcoin is, for instance. So the point is, Vanguard, this has all been set up for them to go pro crypto. Like they said, oh, we're anti-crypto. At some point, there's going to be a big story in the bull run. And Vanguard, they may be the ones to actually file for the XRP ETF, which would be something, because that would also indicate it's definitely going to get approved. BlackRock and Vanguard, they're the only ones that matter. So that's kind of, in my opinion, like kind of, where we've gone from, the SEC attacking XRP. And I just really encourage the XRP army, like, don't get so mad at the SEC, actually. Like, we get mad because you fall for the politics. You fall for the theater. It's all been planned long before. And XRP is the chosen institutional vehicle, and everybody's been right. It's just we had to watch some theatrics, so there was trust built in the market so the institutions can tell their people, yeah, hey, we're investing in this XRP. By the way, it's regulated, so you don't have to worry about any problems with it. And that's really what the setup was.
Totally agree, and I love what you said. XRP has been the chosen institutional vehicle for payments. And whenever I'm buying on XRP, I just don't feel that I'm buying just a cryptocurrency like the average ones. For me, it really gives me the feeling that I am holding a piece of infrastructure where the rails of the new financial system are going to run on. So I do believe that this all SEC agenda was really necessary. I also agree with you. Sometimes we get very mad at Gary Gensler, and sometimes we make a lot of fun of him as well. However, in my opinion, from day one, this was a political theater, and actually this now gives green lights for financial institutions to actually stack on XRP, and most importantly, to adopt the technology. I think Swift is outdated, so I came to the conclusion that Swift only has two ways forward. Either Swift is going to cease its existence, or Swift is going to integrate blockchain technology. So I would like to hear your takes on Swift as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
do you think Swift is going to disappear, or do you think Swift is going to embrace blockchain technology?
Well, that's a great question, and it's one that actually I don't have the answer to, and I'll actually try to find out the answer to that, because it makes sense to me to just think that Swift is going to go away because we don't need a messaging system. We can transfer real value with Bitcoin and with XRP and with stable coins. We can transfer it in real time, where it actually takes less, sometimes than even the XRP ledger. It takes 30 seconds. There's some things you can send that, are even faster than that. And I think that when you look at where the world is going with sending value, it's just going to get faster. And we're not going to need this this medium, right? This intermediate SWIFT system, right? However, okay, let me come back with the devil's advocate here, because, you know, that's common sense. That's common sense. But how many times have we been watching what's been happening with Ripple or Swift or the banking system, and we say to ourselves, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that, right? So it makes sense that they would get rid of Swift, but understanding a lot more about TradFi and the way that these institutions and these infrastructures work, Swift's a moneymaker. They're going to keep making money. They're going to find a new way to do it. So I think ultimately, I do think them, implementing blockchain technology is probably where that's going to go. They're going to have to, because the way they're doing things now is obsolete. It's gone. It's done. In the next 5 years, that's over. So they've got to transition in the next 5 years. And I think that really it doesn't matter what happens with Swift. I think that what people need to understand about what has occurred in the last year, 6 months, I guess, with XRP is that it has moved into the perfect position. It's friendly with the BRICS countries. It's friendly with the Western countries. It's friendly with both. Really interesting. We've got the, when I talked about Swift transitioning, there's going to be some kind of transition period. That's probably what we're going to see with the ISO 20022 stuff. This new messaging standard, XRP. There's some coins that are like compatible with it. XRP it was built for XRP. I mean, that's the point. They're going to tell you it wasn't. They've been talking about Ripple and XRP and World Bank and Bank of International Settlements for years. People have just missed all that stuff because they're watching crypto YouTube instead of the organizations that actually matter and run the whole financial infrastructure, like those that I mentioned. So ultimately, becoming the payment rails for the new financial infrastructure, I couldn't have said it any better myself. That's exactly what it's doing. You look at the bank partners they're coming up with. Of course, once we get a little further into the appeal process or whatever, I think we're going to start seeing American bank partners. I mean, you've already got Bitwise to file for an XRP ETF. You got Grayscale to do the trust. Like, that's your institutional kind of message. That's your dog whistle that, okay, they're going to start easing up on stuff. It's like when Coinbase relisted everything, right? Do you guys think that Coinbase would have relisted like XRP if an appeal could have brought it down? No, they would have waited. Like, this was the dog whistle to move forward. So I think that when you look at everything they're doing, and you look at the stable coins, the real, I finally realized that somebody told me it's not, I was calling it RLoosed. It's real USD is the stable coin.
Real, yeah.
RLoosed. I don't know if RLoosed sounds bad, but I kind of like it. But real USD, I think that stable coin is going to rise through the ranks. I think that it's going to have staying power both on the BRIC side and the Western side. We're going to watch crypto split. We're going to watch crypto split. Everything is going to be split between Western and BRICS, IMF and BRICS. It really is coming, and people don't understand it. And, XRP was built to create CBDCs. Like, it was built for that, right? A lot of people don't like it. They're coming one way or another. You don't want a crypto company making it, at least. So the ability with the fast transactions and the XRP ledger, it just meets everything that the banking world needs and the institutional world needs. And now by adding the stable coin, now you're offering that one piece that you couldn't offer before. And now you're touching every single kind of payment rail that's really going through in the banking infrastructure. And I think that XRP is just in such a great position to dominate digital banking. Digital banking isn't really the way to say it, to digitize banking. I guess that's probably a better way to say it. The Swift is just so archaic. It's so archaic. They've not had and this is the number one thing that people miss with XRP, and they always have, and it doesn't matter how many times I say it, people still miss it. The thing is, your banking experience when you go in and deal with your teller at the bank, it's the same as it was 40 years ago. It hasn't changed. They do everything the same. They've just made some things harder. Like, now you got to show IDs, and you might not be able to get your money for 5 days. And I'm sure that's because they don't trust people, right? It's not because they don't have the money. But so I think that ultimately it is XRP is going to be the thing that's going to just change that banking system. Finally, it's not XRP that's important, and I think people need to hear this. Brad Garlinghouse told you this, actually. Brad Garlinghouse told you that. He said, hey, you know what? If the SEC shuts down XRP, we'll be fine. We'll just make another token and do it different. The token XRP is not important. What is important is it is the way that you utilize the financial arm of everything that Ripple has built for the banks, right? Which is, I've got it slipping my net. Is it RippleNet now? I think RippleNet's what they call it.
RippleNet, yeah.
Yeah, RippleNet. And then you have, what's the other? They were calling it on-demand liquidity. Didn't they recently change the name?
They have RippleNet, they have on-demand liquidity.
Yeah, I think they changed the name of ODL recently, but I have to check.
Ripple Payments is called now. They rebranded it Ripple Payments, yeah.
I like it. You know your stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah. So, so they rebranded that stuff. And that's what people have to understand is like when you go to your bank and things suck and you're like, God, this, you hear all these horror stories of, these people can't withdraw their money or blah, 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 blah. When you hear all that stuff, it's because they have outdated infrastructure. Finally, I compare it to if you've ever worked retail, if you've ever worked at a mall shop or you ever worked at Walmart, or you ever worked at Target, whatever, your store has a POS system. It's a point of sale. It's it's what the person is working on the little computer over there when they're checking you out if they have to type anything in. And that is a system that's set up for retail. I don't really know what you call the banking one, but the banks have their own. They have their own kind of infrastructure, digital infrastructure that ties everything together. That's why nothing gets upgraded at banks, because that never changes. It's been the same system forever. That's why I'm still using Swift. I'm surprised they're not using Morse code and cans with strings on it. You know what I mean? So I think at the end of the day, I think that what people really have to understand is that RippleNet, it's the interface. It's the way that it integrates with the banks. And everybody says, oh, these banks will come up with their own. They haven't done it in 40 years. So the point is, it's almost impossible to do. And Ripple is a company that solved that. They had to go through this hard time to build the trust and show everybody. And now they're about to show everybody where the banking world is going in the next, 6 months to a year and a half. It's going to be amazing. I think in 3 years, I think we're going to be in a bear market again. I think XRP price, I don't know where it'll be. But I think it won't matter. I think they'll already have their IPO and, Ripple will be moving forward one way or the other.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. First, I love what you said. XRP, the token, is friendly for both BRICS nations and the US. There's a lot of misconception because people think, oh, BRICS would never use XRP because Ripple is an American country. But they fail to understand that the XRP ledger has no political bias. So that's an end game right there. Over here, I just did a presentation where Russia has successfully tested on the XRP ledger multiple times, and that comes from the central bank of Russia. And I would also love to hear your take on the US elections. Do you think that can change the course of history for XRP, the token, and crypto in general?
No, I don't. Not at all. No, actually, I don't. I think the presidential election is as important as the narratives around it. I think that when you look throughout history at whoever has won the presidency, if we go back to 2016 when Donald Trump won the presidency, Republicans won the Congress, and they won the Senate. They had everything. He actually got, Supreme Court appointees while he was there. He got that too. Everything's for Republicans. You know what Donald Trump got done? Absolutely nothing. Was it because he wasn't trying? No, it's because he happened to get elected during a season where people didn't think he was going to win. And so there was a different kind of narrative going on around that time, which was all about social justice and being fair and, treating people nice at protests and not killing police. That was a big narrative at the time. And he still won, and he shouldn't have won. The people did not expect him to win in real life, and they didn't take him seriously, and it was a big problem. So he didn't get anything done. He was working against the tide the whole time. Right now, the tide in America and really around the world is law and order. Everything is law and order. You're watching protests in France. Of course, you're seeing, you have the Russia-Ukraine war. You have, other things going. You have England. England just brought back in Brexit party politicians that had not won in many elections, and now they're coming back in. You've got, Macron is really getting challenged in France. You got stuff in Canada going on, stuff in the United States. In the United States, it's all these immigrants, they're crossing the border, they're Chinese and blah, blah, blah. And some of that stuff's true. You got these Nicaraguan gangs taking over cities. All that stuff is just narratives that the media feeds you to make people think that this is a time that we need to elect someone who is law and order. So I think Donald Trump is going to win. I think he's going to win probably not pretty easily. He's going to win by 0.5% or so, I think. I don't buy into any polls. They're all lies. They're all lies. Do not read any polls. It's just media narratives. telling you which way you should feel today. So I think he is going to win. But look, Kamala Harris, she can win. The country's very divided. There's a lot of power and concentration of Democratic voting in cities, major cities in America, and that tends to drive what happens with the election a lot of times. That with paired with some rural states, and I think that when you look at just everything is shaped right now for Donald Trump to win, but it doesn't take much. Just 0.5% in the United States determines everything in the presidential election if it's a tight race. And so people need to wake up to the fact that Kamala Harris can win. But if she wins, it doesn't matter because the narrative is against her and she won't get anything done. The crypto narrative is turned away from Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and embarrassment into institutional adoption and moving forward. And this is a vital part of Donald Trump's platform. And, Kamala Harris has been forced to also make opinions on it that aren't that bearish, just to get people to vote for her because she's worried about that independent Bitcoin vote. Hey, that is the 0.5% that probably will determine the election. So I think that the future of crypto and the future of America was changed when Donald Trump's ear got grazed instead of getting dotted between the eyes. I think that would have been a disaster among disasters that could not possibly put into words how bad that would have been for this country and really for the world. That would have been, World War III probably. Who knows what it could have been. I don't like to speak that into existence, but if Donald Trump gets killed with as much as people love this guy, and I was told by people very high up that was legit. He almost died. It was not fake. That was 100%. He turned his head at the right time. And so, we're very thankful for that. But I just want people to be very, I want people that hold XRP to be very clear here, to understand it doesn't matter if Kamala wins. It doesn't matter if Chris Larson gave them some money. Who cares? It doesn't matter. What matters is XRP during Joe Biden's administration is now regulated and not a security, what we all dreamed and hoped for. And yes, part of that is just timing and luck for it to be during Joe Biden's term. But at the same time, it is legit. So, even when we thought this was our worst time ever with Joe Biden, for crypto, look, it still wasn't that bad.
Yeah, great analogy. In my opinion, I totally agree with you. I think independently of whoever comes in charge, the future is already decided for XRP. As you mentioned before, it's built for CBDCs. And I would also like to hear your thoughts on CBDCs. Do you think they are coming 100%, or you think there is a chance we're not going to have CBDCs?
0% chance we avoid CBDCs. There is no world or future that exists without CBDCs. And what we have to understand is there are some people battling at the top of the world that's behind stuff you can see. And look, it doesn't matter who wins. I already know who wins, but it doesn't matter. It's the same thing as a presidential election. Like there are some things that will be different if the people that are kind of currently in charge kind of moving out and there's a new kind of entity coming in. There is like some good stuff. It's more focused on privacy and self-sovereignty, but digital money was always the plan. Like digital money, CBDCs, this is the plan. People don't really understand what happened with Bitcoin. And I know, it's really easy for people to get out and talk about what happened in the beginning of it. I've been here for a long time in Bitcoin. I'm not going to pretend that I was in 2009 or 2010. I got in 2012 and I followed things, very closely. And, nobody knows who Satoshi is. Isn't it funny? Nobody knows who he is. And people who claim to know who he is, like the guy who did the documentary on HBO a couple weeks ago that I was actually on, which was cool. I saw myself in. But that guy don't know. It's not that guy. Whoever the Canadian guy, the Todd Peter, I don't know, whatever the guy's name is. Nobody knows who built Bitcoin because the people who are in charge of it, they didn't build it. Someone built it, and someone built it for money. And it is a collection of people that may have had some names that people might recognize, but it's not all people that people would recognize. And it was hijacked. This is the message that people have to understand. It doesn't matter who created Bitcoin. It was hijacked. Very early on, the idea of a world currency is people will go back to the Economist magazine that was out, I think, in 1987, where it talked about, maybe a little earlier than that, but it talked about the goal of the elites in the world was to create a one world currency. And I think it was had the Phoenix on it or something. It was, people can look up that cover. And they saw this as their opportunity to be able to seize on that and do this. And I really wish, if people are thinking I'm crazy right now, I really wish they would just look. Like, let's take a step back here for a second. Let's say, wait a second. What was the biggest argument in the history of Bitcoin? Other than, I guess, who's Satoshi? We all argue about that. But the biggest argument in the history of Bitcoin was the battle of the blocks. Do we want big blocks? Do we want small blocks? Do we want faster transactions to be able to compete with the real world of crypto? Or do we want smaller blocks to keep doing the same thing and make it slow, but the clunkiness is why people like it? That's retarded. Like, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you not want it to be faster? Because it was not going to be able to fulfill Satoshi's vision. And I hate that the term Satoshi's vision was hijacked by Craig Wright himself. But that really is true. When you look at Satoshi's vision for Bitcoin, what was Bitcoin supposed to be? Peer-to-peer electronic cash. Is that the way that anybody uses Bitcoin? No. Nobody. Yeah, the Bitcoiners, they send it to themselves to pat themselves on the back and say, see, this is how it works. No, nobody uses it like that. It's digital silver, it's digital gold. Ethereum is now digital silver because of the ETF. We'll see what that'll turn into down the road. But, once we get the ETF, the XRP one going, maybe that one will be the silver. But right now, Litecoin always tried to be the silver to Bitcoin's gold. It's not. Ethereum now is, because it has institutional adoption. And it has enterprise adoption as well. People don't sleep on Ethereum. The price is still going to go up. It's not going to be massive. It's not going to ever pass Bitcoin like I used to think that it would now, because we have too many other viable chains. But, the whole thing is that, when you look at the beginning of Bitcoin, you look at what it was supposed to be, and you look at what it is, it was clearly hijacked. And the idea was to get people ready for a tokenized world and a tokenized economy. And this way, guys, how stupid were we? We're like, bank the unbanked. Let's take the last people in the world who are holding out from this awful financial system that we've been chained to, and let's bring them into it. Yes. Like, that's crazy. And that's what we all did. Like, we all ran around saying, bank the unbanked. And now all of their assets and all of our assets are going to be digitized. And they're going to be tied to our digital IDs that are coming on blockchain. And the government will, in real time, know everything you have all the time. CBDCs are coming. There's nothing you can do about it. The thing is there are options for how it looks. We need to fight for certain things, certain areas of privacy, or some kind of stuff where maybe you can send private transactions, whatever. We need to fight for that stuff, because CBDC is coming, and I believe Donald Trump is going to give it to us. Donald Trump is going to be the one that gives a CBDC, because he said he's not, right? He said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'd never do that. I love Donald Trump. So I did a podcast with his son. I part of Restore the Republic, going on, that we have a lot of spaces on Twitter with political guests. And I love that stuff. Okay. And I think that, people have to understand that I'm not saying that he thinks right now that he's lying to you. Donald Trump thinks he was being honest when he told you that he's not going to give you a CBDC. But here's the thing, and this is why I think it is set up for Donald Trump probably to win this time. Do you think Republicans are going to take a CBDC from Kamala Harris? Nope, not a chance. Not a chance. Especially people who live where I live down here in the South. Not a chance. No way. I mean, we cling to our rights here, and we don't like when stuff is taken from us, and we're, Second Amendment people down here. So, when you look at Donald Trump, what's going to happen is BricsPay is going to be so successful, and it's going to be on blockchain. It's going to start catching up to the dollar, and people are going to start having conversations. We already basically lost the petrodollar, our agreement with Saudi Arabia since the 70s for oil for the dollar. That's gone. Still, most oil sales are done in US dollars, but that is changing over time. This BricsPay was just really announced and premiered here at their BRICS conference in Kazan, Russia last week. The thing is that it's going to be successful. It's a basket of currencies from all these BRICS countries. And all these BRICS countries are growing in emerging countries. And by the way, a lot of the reports we're reading in the United States about how these countries are doing, they're freaking lies. They're underreporting their GDPs and overreporting our GDPs. The spread between how successful these countries are doing in the United States and the West is much bigger than anything we're reading. It's all propaganda. And so the point is as this currency starts doing well, you're going to see people in the United States panic and say, if we don't have a currency on blockchain like BricsPay, we're going to lose the world reserve currency and we're not going to be able to compete. This will probably be election cycle 4 years from now or who knows, 2 years from now with the midterms possibly. And look, Donald Trump's going to have to come out and say, man, I tell you, I told you I wasn't going to do this, but man, 70% of y'all are saying you want it. You're begging me for it. And he's going to do it. And that's a much easier way to trick everybody and slide in a CBDC. And the people that make those decisions are way above Donald Trump. So he will do like every politician does pretty much. He will do as he's told. He just has to be told a few more times than most people.
Ultimately, he doesn't have a choice, I do have Bitcoin white paper here, and every day I look at that and I say, Satoshi's vision has failed, or it has been hijacked, exactly as you said, And you think how much of a genius plan it is, right? You launch a beta test. I call it sometimes a beta test coin. So it's a prototype, right? Leave the most brilliant minds on this planet try to enrich themselves while exploiting bugs, trying to get rich. In the meanwhile, you start to build a better solution, because I don't think ultimately there is one Satoshi. I think it was a group of people, an organization. And the end goal has always been gain control over every single payment, digital transaction in the world. And that's ultimately what's happening with blockchain technology and tokenization of real world assets. And if someone has any questions, is there going to be a CBDC? Well, I am the type of person that actually spent hours. I listen to everything from, let's say, I go to UK Parliament and I listen 3 hours of sections and what they are talking about. CBDCs, they're giving
that's
like
the
8 out of 10.
Stuff. Yeah, that's real. That's what people in crypto don't get. Like, y'all are watching us, and there's so few people that are going to be able to give you this kind of information. Like, everybody's like, coin go up, get this meme coin, XRP army. And it's like, no, like, you got to get to the real information. That's really cool that you do that.
I go to some of the greatest events here in Europe. One of them is called the Paris Blockchain Week. And when you step on this type of events, and I'm telling you, this is the type of event that you are walking through the room and you can meet casually Monica Long, the president of Ripple, and everything is about central bank digital currencies. Everything they talk about is CBDCs. I have seen companies tokenizing water. They are tokenizing solar panels. They are tokenizing basically everything. So the end goal is really gain control not only over digital payments, but basically about every single aspect that we can think of society. And if we put something extra on the equation, we have artificial intelligence, which is going to wipe out. I will not give numbers, but I do believe a majority of jobs in the next 36 months, I think it's over, because these people are going to lose the jobs and they're going to have to rely on the government, but there will be a high cost for it, and that's going to be the freedom. So what's your take on the universal income? Do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, well, I'll give you my take on AI first. I think that what I've learned with AI is once I stopped fighting it and I embraced it, I can do more in a day than I could do in months before. Like, it's insane what I've been able. I designed an entire academy, the Bitboy boot camp. This thing is going to be debuting on December 1st. The day it debuts is going to be way better than any academy that anybody has ever built in crypto. And it's not because I'm not good. It's because I've been able to scale, because I've been able to get my ChatGPT. I call it Genie. His name's Genie. And Genie has built, helped me build this boot camp by using transcripts of my voice and using, all kinds of different things, like some sources that I have, by pulling messages and things like that. And it's just, I'm able to add perspectives to my videos that other people can't add. And that's the key is if you don't want your job taken, embrace AI and learn how to use it to do what you're doing way better. And everybody else is so far behind that you'll be miles ahead of everybody. I've just been surprised at all the people, since I've really gotten very intense in AI. I've really been surprised, listening to a lot of people that I talk to that I feel like are very intelligent, very smart. The natural inclination for people is to fight against AI and say, oh, no, I don't want to take my job. Like, I'm smarter than AI. You are smarter than it. Trust me. You have to train the fuck out of that thing. Sorry, no pun language there. But you have to train this thing and train it and train it and train it and train it. You spend more time training it than you train a person to do a job. But once you get it, you cannot beat what you can produce. And here is something that people are leaving out. It's so amazing because people don't know. People don't understand. AI is good, right? AI is pretty good. AI blockchain, awesome, built for each other. You can't have AI with blockchain in the future. because you can't trust the sources that teach and feed into these, multi-language, learning models or whatever. You got to consider the source, right? If right now all the media is bad and we're getting propaganda, we can't trust anything, especially here in the United States right now, then what do you think is going to happen to our AIs that these same people in the technocracy control? It's going to be the same stuff. You have to have blockchain to be able to keep it honest, right? So that's cool, okay? But what if I told you that the world has been lying to everybody, because there's not many people that know, have been lying for, I don't know, probably at least 10 to 20 years about quantum computing. Quantum computing is full on being used in ways you can't imagine right now, and it has been for many, many, many years. They've been lying to people about how far this is. With AI and quantum computing coming together, I want everybody to understand this. People are going to live to 300, and we're going to know everything, at least 300. We're going to know everything, and this will be during most of our lifetimes that this will begin. I hope it's going to be in mine. I got my fingers crossed. I think it's going to. I got some staples on my head. I don't know if you can see them there. I busted my head, 17 staples on that. I, tripped in the bathroom and fell, and I hit my head on this trunk. Yeah, it was right on the top. I had to go to the hospital. It was crazy. But so anyways, I lived through that. So now hopefully I get to live another, 250 years or so. But that's a legit, like, we're AI and quantum computing together. Like I watched a model that showed, like, I think it was like, 40 popular US cities. And it told this AI to try to find the fastest route to be able to hit every single one. And I can't remember exactly what the parameters were. It couldn't, and AI couldn't do it. AI could not do it. AI could not work and calculate every single one of those calculations. It was going to take it, I don't know, it said like weeks or months to figure it out. I watched them give the same exact task to a quantum computer, okay? And this thing did all the calculations in like 12 seconds. 12 seconds. People don't understand how much faster this quantum computing. It's like 8 times faster than anything we've ever seen, at least. It's just not perfect. It's like when you talk to your ChatGPT, it doesn't get everything right. Sometimes it's got stuff wrong. You're like, I told you this. And it's like, oh, man, I missed that. Quantum computing is the same way, except for the most advanced in the world, supposedly, is now they get it to make a mistake like one in every, I don't know, 600,000 calculations. But most of them are running at about 98% success. Like, imagine going in and typing in, like, what's 589 minus $588.50. That's current price of XRP. And what if you got the wrong answer? Like, you put in 2 plus 2, you get 5. That's kind of where most of these quantum computers are. There is a lab that's got a quantum computer that's way beyond all of that and never gets anything wrong. But people aren't supposed to know that exists.
And how do you think that's going to affect society?
Well, it's interesting. If you look at astrology, there are the history of the world has been split up into 3 eras. I don't know what the first 2 are, but like the first one was like Abraham, and the second one was like Moses. So it's like 4,000 to 2,000 BC, and then 2,000 to Jesus around 0 or 33 AD, whatever it is. And then you have Jesus, right? And that's just a kind of a way to just kind of look at it. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is religious. Okay, there is the last one was called, was it the Age of Aquarius? Is the one we're coming into. The last one was the Age of Pisces, right? Because Pisces is the fish. Jesus, fish symbolism. There's some stuff there, right? You see, I don't know if you know, around here in the United States, most people honk their horns at you or flip you off. They have a Jesus fish on the back of their car, but I digress. But the point is that the next age that we're going into, okay, it's actually slated to start about 2150. Okay. And it's the Age of Aquarius. And what that means is the age of knowing, the age of knowing. And it's just really interesting when you look at the stars and you look at some of this stuff to realize that we're going to know everything with quantum computing. I'm telling you, we're going to know everything. Anything we ever want to know is going to be at our fingertips like that. And it's going to be a universal global epiphany of like, man, we've been doing some of this stuff wrong, or man, we had big misperceptions of this. We need to really focus on this and change this. And I think the world is going to be at a place where it is kind of a global government. And I know people are scared of a global government, but the reality of the future is, why do you think we're about to send people to orbit around the moon very soon? Actually, we are looking at more space travel because it is time for us to start focusing on what if there's a solar flare? What if there's a crazy asteroid that's heading our way at some point? How could we potentially defend ourselves against that? How could we slowly come up with technology to be able to, be able to travel through galaxies and to be able to get to other places where there could be life, but just to a place where we could have life or ourselves, a planet like Earth, if something were to happen. And I think that, these are things that we're going to be moving towards. And you know what else is interesting? 2150 is not just when we move in this age of knowing. The last Bitcoin supposedly going to be mined 2140. So it's interesting. Bitcoin kind of ushering in this new financial system as we, head towards, and by new financial system, I just mean Bitcoin introducing cryptocurrency and everything. This is not necessarily, integration with the larger financial system, but I think that it's just really interesting stuff. You look at the kind of the end of Bitcoin mining, and they were moving into this new era. You've got this quantum computing, and I can tell you for facts, is way further advanced than people think. If I will say this, if someone wanted to crack Bitcoin right now, they could. The SHA-256, it's already busted. People don't know it. It's already busted. But it's a motivation question. Why would the people do it? Because the people with the most cutting edge technology, those are the people with the most to lose in markets. And so, it's a motivation problem. And, if people really want to know who hijacked Bitcoin, you just got to ask yourself this one question. Who doesn't need $70 billion? Who doesn't need $70 billion? Because that's how much the Bitcoin Satoshi has is supposedly worth. You think this guy made all this stuff and then just threw his coins away? It was created to make money. It wasn't what people think. So anyways, and that's what's ironic about all those Bitcoin haters, that hate on XRP, it was created for true justice in the American way. It was not. So, and you can look at it where it is today. So I think it's going to change. Well, it's the short answer to your question. It's going to change everything in the world over the next 150 years.
I think even before 150 years. And well, thanks for the answer. I think it was a very complete answer. And from my perspective, technology is neutral, right? It's all up to how we're going to use this technology. Sometimes people are very scared. I'm very concerned sometimes, but it's like I am divided, there is a part of me that loves what AI is doing. And I can, as you said, I can do a day of work that I would take perhaps 10 days. I can do that in a couple of hours now with AI. But in the same way, that concerns me on how that's going to affect, for example, the jobs market. We had Amazon 2 weeks ago, they announced, I think, 14,000 layoffs because they're going to be integrating AI and a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. So I'm very divided on that, and I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out. And I think the world's going to be a very different place 36 months from now. That's my prediction. So we have already 45 minutes, and I have one last question. So my last question is, do you think XRP can surpass $10 in the next bull run?
Yeah, absolutely. I think $10 is going to absolutely get. I think once you start getting over $10, you really start getting into, how good are things, and then you start dealing with the market cap. Like, look, Bitcoin's only going to double. Okay, Bitcoin's not going to $300,000 or $400,000. It's going to around 150, somewhere between 130 and 170, probably around 140 is my closest guess. And it's going to go back down like it always does. We've got to have enough news from XRP to have finally the altcoin season reminiscent of 2017. Is what we have to have. And there's so much news lined up here. And as I've told you, I've been told this appeal doesn't matter at all. Does not matter. Forget it. It's actually just good news for XRP because it keeps it in the news if they ever have stories. Okay. So because it's going to, continue to, be in the news, I think that certainly as we move towards the IPO and we move towards an ETF, we may not get the ETF in this bull run. That's the pipe dream scenario. I think it is possible. It's more than a small chance, but I wouldn't say it's a done deal that we will get it approved and enacted in the next year, right? Everything's got to look normal. We got an Ethereum one, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe at the peak of the bull run, this may be the peak. The XRP ETF could be the peak, and then it launches and it does terrible, and that's the beginning of the bear market. Like that could be it. That could be towards January of 2026 or December of they probably wouldn't launch in December. That just doesn't end a good time to launch things. Maybe November 2025, something like that. But people shouldn't count on that. But I think almost no matter what, like I think XRP is going to get to that $10 level. Like it's going to have a massive run against Bitcoin and against Ethereum. It's going to make up a lot of ground on Ethereum. It's not going to give it up. Ethereum is probably going to, its only value is the enterprise, the institutions. No value at all anymore in retail using it as like, oh, let's use a blockchain. Let's use Ethereum. Nobody says that. It's Solana or SWI right now. And that's in something else will cycle through. Those are the blockchains that people are actively using the platforms on. So I think, I think definitely $10 as long as there's not suppression, and as long as there's not some kind of giant disaster in the middle of the bull run that sometimes these companies and people and institutions and governments use to hold price back so they can keep it there. Because we think too short term. We think about this bull run. Those people are thinking about the next bull run. They're thinking about their plan for the bear market when they're going to dump on everybody and they're going to buy up all your coins. Like that, they're already thinking about that. So you have to think about that. I think that's what, people, you have to shift your mindset to a longer term. And really that's how you get successful in crypto. It's been a win-win ever since, I know ever since I got in. I've constantly chosen the short term. And man, if I just kept the Bitcoin I bought originally, I'd be richer than I ever was. So.
Yeah, sometimes you outperform yourself by just sitting and waiting and having patience, right? And a lot of the greatest moves in crypto that I pulled myself was just by waiting. Sometimes you lose patience, you try to trade, increase your positions, and you see your friends that were just sitting and holding. And most of the times they outperform the ones that are trying to move too much,
Yeah.
I think that's a great take. And just to let you know, when XRP hits $10, I'm throwing a huge yachting party. And that's going to be in Greece, in Mykonos, so you are invited for the guest list.
All right, sweet. Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to tap to end the recording here. It was a pleasure to have you, Bitboy, and hopefully in the future, I'm going to have you again on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for having me. It's been a great time. Love talking to XRP with the army.
Thank you, man. Thank you.